say good evening to Thornhill Woods. I gotta tell you, I am so thrilled to be standing in front of all of you. This is our fourth Thornhill Woods community meeting. We started the first one back in January. And every single time, the crowd has grown. And this is probably the largest crowd that we've ever had to date. And that gives me a great feeling inside because it means that we are coming together as a community, that the messages about the main issues that are affecting our community are getting out there. It's not easy getting out and getting in touch with every single person in this neighborhood. So before we start, let me just ask, how many people, you can put your hand up, how many people are here tonight for the first time and this is your first Preserve Thornhill Woods? Oh, wow. I gotta tell you, I am so excited that you're here tonight because we were determined to get to every single household in this neighborhood. And I can tell you, after spending an entire weekend with the board of directors walking door to door giving out flyers, I can tell you that there's exactly 4,850 homes in Thornhill Woods. I can tell you my family personally delivered 1,500 flyers. So the fact that we have so many people out here. And by the way, that's our neighborhood. And it's an amazing place to live. I live in Thornhill Woods, as does everybody else on the board of directors for the Preserve Thornhill Woods Association. And we're here tonight to do a bunch of different things, but for the most part to give you an update, to talk about election, and I'll get into the details in a second. But before we start, my name is Jordan Calpin. I'm the Director of Communications from the Preserve Thornhill Woods Board of Directors. I'd like to ask the Board of Directors to stand up and wave so you can see who. So as I said, this is a very special neighborhood, unique in many, many ways. I won't go into it all. And we want to keep it that way. So our function as a ratepayers association is to get out there and to help advocate on behalf of our community, to the city of Vaughan, and to anyone else who brings change to our neighborhood that we don't necessarily agree with. So while we're here today to talk about a couple of issues, we're actually a not-for-profit association that's here to serve you and to preserve the unique nature of our neighborhood, to make it a great place for us to live and for our children to live and go to school in. And we're going to work very, very hard to keep it that way. So this is what we hope to accomplish today. We're basically going to cover three major topics that are of interest to everyone. We're going to give you an update on the Jafari development application. How many people here have not heard about the Jafari Village development application? Know nothing about it or are here for the first time? Don't be shy. Put your hand up. I'll run through it really quickly. Okay, that's great. We're also going to talk about municipal election, some next steps for our association and for the community. And then frankly, this is your meeting, so we're going to open it up to a Q&A session. Lots of people have questions. We get questions on our Facebook page, we get emailed questions. I get stopped in long rows of people asking me questions. So I know lots of people have questions, and we are honored tonight to have not only the existing politicians from the city of Vaughan, but all of the municipal candidates for our riding here with us this evening. And we're just absolutely thrilled to have them, and we're going to give everybody a chance to talk and to ask questions of us and ask of the politicians as well. So just really, really quickly, I just want to go through the application. So in the corner of Mary Israel Drive and Bathurst Street, there's the Jafari Mosque. They've been there a long time. And recently, I guess in December, they submitted an application to develop their land. And they asked to put two 17-story high-rise apartment buildings, as well as 61 townhouse units and some business units and that type of thing. There's also some future plans to expand the school and to put a mid-rise. That's what the application was that was submitted in December. In that application, the there's certain things that are allowed to be built on that land, and there's certain things that are not allowed to be built on the land. In order to build what the applicant has requested, they have to have a number of exceptions. They need an exception to the number of floors. They want to build 17 stories. They're asking for an exemption from that minimum number of parking spots in the facility, and we're concerned about that. They want to move or demolish a Vaughan Heritage Site, which is the Vaughan Hospital building, and they are asking for permission to either move or demolish it. They want to build townhouses that are smaller than what's currently allowed on that land, and they want to encroach upon the buffer zone. There's actually the East Don River that flows through the property, and they want to build partially into the buffer zone of the East Don River. And I'm not going to go into all the details. I'm going to keep moving here. Really, the main concerns of the neighborhood, and that we've been advocating with the city since the beginning of the year, we're concerned about traffic, the increase in traffic from bringing thousands of new residents into the community. And we all know that Thornhill Woods Drive is like a Pleasant Ridge, and all the other streets during rush hour, it's crazy. We're asking for, we're worried about schools, we're worried about the effect on infrastructure, we're worried about the environment, and we're worried about the heritage building. And there's been many, many discussions with the city about that today. And that's really what the gist of the application is all about. So I'm going to turn it over now to Ron Kuby, who's the chairman of the Preserve Thornhill Woods Association, and he's going to take you through the key milestones, what's happened over the last little while, and what's next.
Thank you, Drew. So, those of you who don't know what we've done so far, we're basically involved with getting a group together. It was formed by a group of neighbors that lives on Aries-Rail Drive. And we have started pushing those things publicly, both on the Facebook, papers, and so on. We have managed to get a team together of professionals. We hired a lawyer, a municipal lawyer. We hired a city planner or an urban planner. And we have found a few very interesting things. In February 4th, we came to the hearing of the hall. I think it was the biggest number of people that ever attended that meeting. 750 people on our behalf came in and expressed their objection to the application. 83 deputations, where 6 of them were from the applicant side and all the other ones were against the application. In that meeting on February 4th, the mayor and the councillors have identified 5 working groups to begin between us and the applicant and ensure that we can bridge the gaps between what the applicant is asking for and what the residents believe should be there. Right after that, we going through all of these preparation to those working groups. Our planner have found out that actually the official plan of Vaughan is calling for Apple Blossom to be extended all the way down to Bathurst. Means it's going through the applicant's property. That's a road that has been neglected when the mosque was built. It was overlooked or forgotten about. Looking today at the traffic and what we've noticed so far is that route that's missing right now is a very necessary route that we need through our neighborhood. It's the 3rd relief route like every other block, and we are working hard to get that going through in some way through the application's property, because by extending Apple Blossom we will reduce the traffic of near Israel Drive, and all the rush hour traffic will have another route to go through and to be relieved. The next thing we've gone through this whole process is throughout the whole time of us talking to the applicant and going through numerous meetings with them, they never committed to anything. They never changed anything on their application. They never approached forward to try to change the terms or somewhat to come forward towards what the residents were asking for. And they kept using the term without prejudice, so anything that they will say during those committee meetings, they will not be held accountable for in the court in the future. So we've looked through about two or three meetings together. Basically, it was almost one-sided where we were putting out all these problems with the applications and the deficiencies. And then the applicant had postponed 2 meetings. They basically asked to postpone them in order to come back with a new development or a new application and so on. 2 months have gone by, nothing had happened. Last time in July that we had our meeting, I told you that the city had given them an ultimatum. They came back to the table, instead of 17, 12 stories, and again without prejudice. It was no good still, because they didn't really do anything in 2 months. So we came up with a proposal before this whole thing blows up. We came up with a proposal that was very decent and close and very close to her. That's actually complementing our neighborhood, that will affiliate the extension of Apple Blossom through the property, that will build some nice townhouses similar to what's all around the neighborhood, some freehold houses, singles and semi-detaches, with some old age element like they wanted to. So we basically came to a term which is kind of like in between. By doing that, we actually opened the door to a true and honest negotiation that actually progressed to about 6 agreements or 6 terms that were kind of like agreed between 2 sides. Again, don't forget it's without prejudice, so the applicant can still say, forget about that, we don't care about this anymore, we're going with our original application. So basically, there was a big stall, they were stalling, they were playing, they were trying to push it after the election, and we said, you know what, the residents of Thornhill Woods do not need that stress on their life, they don't need that stress in their neighborhood. Houses on their Israels are not selling, there is starting to be some ethnic tension, there is some hate crimes going on here and there, and we are trying to hold this thing very tight together so it's not going to explode on both sides, or we're not going to see anything that got to do with hate crimes against each other, or the applicant is going out to the OMB, which is the Ontario Municipal Board. It's a court that deals with municipal issues. So we basically, on September 2nd, stood in front of the City Council and we asked them to reject the application. So, how many of you here actually feel that by rejecting that application we've won? I'm glad there are not that many of you here that are believing that we've won. Yes, I would say that we win. We won battle number 1 out of many battles that are still ahead of us. And the reason being is because there are few options that are still standing in front of us that will need to be addressed this evening, and we'll need to express to everybody that this is only the beginning. This is stage 1, and there is a still long way to go. So what we've seen so far is Councilor Sandra Rocco have tabled a motion to basically reject, or let's say refuse, the existing application or the current application the way it is, with the 17 high and the 61 townhouses, the density and the height elements that were completely outside of what the area was zoned for. And basically saying no to this, but please come back with something that's going to be in conformance with what there is in this area. So it's going to look exactly like the adjacent neighborhoods. It's going to meet with the height of the neighborhood, and it's going to represent the whole neighborhood requirements versus one community within Thornhill Woods. So as you can see, the reason why we've done that is to make sure that the applicant is not going to go directly to OMB and say, oh, they rejected the application, nothing was actually set yet, and we were still talking. And we have decided that by doing that and rejecting the application as it is, but leaving the door open to come back, it still gives the applicant the chance to come back with something that will be conforming with what we have agreed upon so far, as well as what the VOP, which is the Vaughan official plan, the way the city needs to look, and the bylaws that are existing in that area. The last thing that we've managed to, get from the city is that on September 9th, the last voting council, voted in favor of that motion. Means that the applicant now need to come back by November 15th with a new application. In the absence of such application, the city will keep writing the report based on the original application and probably reject it indefinitely. The other option that the city basically have tabled, and that's something that's very important, is they're asking the applicant to come back with a new site plan, completely an official site plan. Development principles from the working group. So all the 6 terms that we've agreed upon so far. So the buffer between the neighborhood, the open to the public, everybody can use their facilities and their playgrounds and so on. The parking issue that was very big and excessive, we've agreed upon building a proper parking lot in the back behind the mosque, so in a place that it's not so visible to the road, and so on. The character of the neighborhood, so means the way the houses looks around, that's how they need to build, the same build form, mixed form, not the same house all over the place, so different townhouses, different type of densities, and so on. And we did talk about other issues like the access through the property and so on for everybody if you want to cut through the property and things like that. The last thing that was very important to do is they don't have all the time in the world anymore. They have a deadline. It's November 15th. If they do not come back with that, then the city will go ahead and write a report to reject that application completely. So, as you can see, everyone, we basically won stage number 1. The revised proposal, if it's being received, will actually open the door to a new set of negotiation. So we can still, even if they come back with a new application, that does not mean that this is the final word. The Preserve Thornhill Woods and our representatives and our professionals are going to review that new application. By the way, including the city staff, because the city staff is working with us very closely. And we will review that application and decide, is that conforming with what we plan on having there, what we believe should be there, or maybe it isn't. And if it isn't, we're going to need to go through the same process again. So that means we're going to go through working groups again, we're going to go through getting our own opinion heard again, and then eventually that process will be cut off in March as well. So if there is still an impasse until March, the city will go and write in a report what they believe with regards to the new application that they will submit in November. But that will be the end of it. So basically, March, if there is no decision and there is no agreement between the residents and the applicant, the city will go ahead and write a report in accordance with the new application. And that's when we will conclude that issue. So, the next application, don't forget that throughout this whole process, 180 days after the applicant has submitted an application to the city, they're still allowed to go to the OMB and basically say, because there is a lack of decision by the city, they want to get the OMB to decide whether or not they're entitled for that application or not. We're trying to stay away from the OMB from many reasons. One of them is the cost for everyone's pocket. Because although the city is on our side, we still need to be a party. We still need to be another group that is actually defending our neighborhood and the best interests of our neighborhood, not just the city of Vaughan, forgive me. I'm talking about our own interest of this neighborhood, things that have been here and should not change to the extreme of height and density. So, we still need to raise our funds. We still need to be prepared in the event it does go to court. And we still need to pay our legal fees. Our lawyer costs $625 an hour. Our planner costs about $400 an hour. Thanks God for our planner, because he had found so many deficiencies that without him, we wouldn't have been sitting here today talking about winning phase 1. So all these dollars that you guys have donated and spent were well used, and we're going to touch later on what did we spend the money on. It was well used, and because of every single one of you that donated those dollars, we managed to hire the best professional team available out there in the city to get us the best representation, and as you can see, the professionalism has worked out. So thank you again, everybody that donated. We really appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about what happens in November when the applicant comes back with an application or doesn't. So path 1 basically is the applicant is submitting a new application. We're going again through the working group. Again, 5 more working groups, no more than that. And then, or the applicant submits the application and chooses at that point to go to OMB and fight, or basically try to push the new application through the OMB. That's a scenario, it's possible. In this kind of situation, again, we need our funds, we need our money, we need to defend alongside the city. The second path that we can see is the applicant just go directly to OMB. They said, you know what, we don't want to wait anymore, we're going to go to the OMB. And the third path, something that we hopefully not going to get through, but basically the applicant does nothing. The city writes a report with regards or answering the original application that was submitted last December, and it's being closed off, rejected from the city, and then they can resubmit whenever they want a new application, and then we're going to need to start the process all over again. So in everybody's favor, I believe, both the applicant and this neighborhood, to put this thing down to rest, is that the applicant will come back with something that's conforming, that's meeting our requirements. They've heard about it probably through every single way that's possibly can be said, both through the media, community meetings, and so on. They know what we want. They know our way. They know what we believe should be there, and hopefully they're going to come back with an application that will meet that requirement. It's going to be open to everybody. It's going to meet the height and density. It's going to be available to everybody to walk through and use their facility. Everybody will be able to buy through that property. And when all is said and done, and they would really like to have their old age home, we may even agree to some kind of an old age home similar to Viva or the one in Bathurst and New Westminster. I believe that this is just right because it's already around the neighborhood. So an old age home is always a good thing to have, and we appreciate the fact that they need that in their community as well, and everybody else will be able to use that facility. Don't forget, it's open to everybody. So if the applicant will come back with this kind of changes to his application, I don't believe that anybody that sits in this room here will object to it any further. And why do I keep saying that we want the applicant, or we want the Jafari community to be able to build their community beside their mosque, is because this is an inclusive community, this is an inclusive neighborhood, everybody is welcome. But don't forget that in addition to them, there's already 4,850 homes in this neighborhood, and we learned that over the weekend, that are still accepting everybody to be their neighbors, to be their friends, and to be the Canadian way. So, as I thank all of you, yes, all of you for donating, be done with this money, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Vanessa. Vanessa Du is our treasurer. She's a voting board member, and she's also an accountant in her profession, so we trust the money in somebody that knows what to do with it. And she's going to go over what we've spent and how we've used it.
Thank you, Ron. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessa. As Ron has introduced me, I'm the treasurer of the association. A lot of people are asking questions such as how much money we have received and how the money is being spent, and here is the answer. Total money we have received so far is approximately $65,000. It includes all the direct contributions, sponsorship income, and sales proceeds from the goods contributed. And we have spent around $46,000 as of today. And we will look at the breakdown of the expenses in a second. Our current fund balance is around $18,000. However, our average monthly expenditure is approximately $5,000. That's why we need everyone's help. Without additional funds, we are not able to continue our work. We are not able to carry on our efforts and our fighting for this community. Here is the breakdown of the expenses. As you can see, most of the funds are used to pay for expert services. We have obtained a top municipal lawyer, a land use planner, and other consultants. As Ron has mentioned before, these professionals have been doing an amazing job. They identify a lot of problems and deficiencies in the application. Without that help, we are not able to achieve our goals so far. So it's very critical for us to continue the ongoing services from these professionals. I mentioned earlier that our average monthly funds leakage are around $5,000, and this amount is used to pay for the ongoing services from these experts. About 17% of the expenses are for community communications, which are mainly for the flyers and the lawn sites. And the remaining of the expenses are for like PayPal charges, business registration fees, and postage fees, and some miscellaneous expenses. We welcome any amount of donation. Every dollar counts. We suggest $150 per household. You can pay by cash, checks, credit cards, or PayPal. Also, business sponsorship packages are available for business and corporations. So if anyone's interested in sponsorship opportunity, please talk to us. We are more than happy to discuss it with you. Also, you can help us by volunteering your time to walk door to door to distribute the flyers and ask for donations for our association. And again, I would like to use this opportunity to say thank you to our all members and volunteers who spent the past Saturday and Sunday delivering the flyers to every single home in our neighborhood.
So, again, I want to thank again to everybody that donated. As you've seen, we're not spending the money on anything other than fighting and the effort of getting this thing rejected. Advertisement, we have gone probably through every avenue available. We have reached 20 to 30,000 people with every single one of our Facebook page. We do have a wide variety of sponsorship packages to businesses that want to capitalize on that. So if you need the advertisement, please find one of us. We can help you out. We can help you out with that. The individuals that are sitting in this room and are really interested to help us financially, we would really appreciate it. Finances at any dollar. And again, Thank you everybody for donating your time and money and being here today. The next topic is, I think, what some of us are here to hear. And we wanted to talk a little bit about the municipal elections, what this is all about, why does every single person in this room count, and your family as well. And I'm going to go over the I guess, what are we voting for, the breakdown of who do we vote for, what are the things that needs to be said about the applicants, the roles, and things like that. And then if you have any further questions at that point, at the Q&A, we're going to open it up to a free question session. So, we encourage everybody to go out and vote. And the reason being is, first of all, it is our rights as citizens of this country to decide who is going to be governing it. If it's the municipal level, the provincial level, or the federal level, we, as the people, are the ones who are going to choose who is going to be on top of us. And that's the beauty of the democracy, that we're going to have somebody that's going to be governing our city, province, or country that we have picked and choose to be there. So, it is our right, and I'm asking everybody to use that right and go and vote. October 27 is the election day. I'm sure all of you have already received your voter's card, and if you didn't, you will be getting them in the next few days. It's very important to get yourself, any family member that can't vote, your neighbors, make sure that everybody goes. And the reason it's so important, because usually the municipal elections only drawing in about 15%, 15%, between 15 to 20% of the voters. So it's very important that every single person will go and vote. It doesn't matter who you're going to vote for, because that's your own decision. But it does matter that you will go and make your voice count. So, what does it mean? What does it mean going to vote for a municipal election? Who are we voting for? Because there's many of them. It's not like a party that we vote for when we go to a provincial election. It's not like a party that we vote for in the federal elections. In the municipal election, because there are many roles that are really close in affecting us, there's a few of them, and there's few candidates to each position as well. So the first person that we vote for is our ward councillor. Means that's a councillor that's going to be taking care of our ward. Means that our neighborhood, and it's just a neighborhood, based on the ward map. And Sandra Rocco was taking that role until today, and she still is our councillor until October 27th, and we'll see what's going to happen after that. She is a candidate. To her candidacy, there are two more incumbents. One of them is Stiles Weinberg, and there is another guy. His name is Greenspan. I don't know, I haven't seen him here, so if he's here in this room, I'm going to be more than happy to introduce him to everybody. So this is our ward candidates. To the second level of candidacy that we are voting for is the regional councillors, and there are 3 that are currently acting. You get the chance to vote for 3 of them. I think there are 4 candidates in total. Is that correct? 4? 7? Sorry, my mistake. So I know about 3 of them. They're sitting right here. All 3 of them are sitting in this room tonight, which is good because then you can ask them the questions that you want to know. The regional councillor is looking a little bit outside of our ward and representing us with the region, so transportation, education, policing, and so on. So that's what the regional councillor will do for you. And that's obviously in conjunction with working with the ward councillor and working together around the perimeters of our ward or inside our ward, things like that to do with the region, like our roads and constructions of roads and construction of transportation and so on. So the regional council will take care of that as well. The next person, the guy up on top, the mayor. We have only one candidate. Two. I never heard of that. Nobody informed me. Okay, sorry about that. So we have 4 candidates for the mayoral position, and you get to vote who is it going to be. The current acting mayor, if somebody don't know, is Mauricio Badalacqua, and he has been working with us closely, the same as all the councillors that are sitting here in this room today. And the last person is the school trustee. It's the responsibility of acting as the representative of the school boards and the education within our ward or the area that we're in. So Mr. Joel Hertz, who is present here today as well, he's the current acting school trustee, and he is running again. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, the last thing that we need to talk about, and this is why I have the candidates right over here, is who has been supportive of the preserved Thornhill Woods throughout this whole process. And that's something you should all know. What is their position with regards to the Jafari application? I think it's the reason why all of us are here, because that's what we want to know. How is our representatives going to represent us after the election as well? So, I wanted to hear it from the candidate, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how are we going to address that issue. So first of all, I want to start by talking directly to them and thank every single one of them, because I think they've done an amazing job in supporting us. I do have to say one thing, and that's from our hearts and my own and the board's, that throughout this whole time, we had a lot of ups and downs. We were just mere residents that lived in the neighborhood, a very peaceful and quiet neighborhood, and all of a sudden this thing is being dropped in our backyards. And we didn't know who to turn to, and we did get support, but there was one person from this mayoral council that she was constantly standing behind us, even when we were left off by all the other councillors. She was always there to help us, to support us, to guide us, to give us good advice. And I want to thank from my heart and from every single board member, I want to thank Deb Scholl for all of her. Process. We're not talking about just a counselor. She was a true friend. And that's something that I want to see from any candidate that's going to come out there and say, we are here to support you as friends, not because this is our duty, not because this is our work, not because we're politicians. This is what we do because you are our friends. Thornhill Woods is our friends, and that's what we do. And that's what we felt from that show. Since Deb Scholl is the regional councillor, there was another regional councillor that we've seen in every single meeting. He was always there to advise. He was always there to support us when we needed a question. Very well defending us in city council, Mr. DeBiase. I'm going to point my finger and blame Mr. Rosati as well for giving us very good advices when he needed. So thank you very much. Last but not least, I would like to thank Sandra Rocco. I think that throughout the process, with a little bit of a period that she took time off when she was running for the provincial election, she has been a team player. She has been working with us closely. We had talked about a few ways of handling this situation. And I think the way that we agreed upon between us worked out very well. And I think the last minute motion that you put out on the night before the voting council on September 2nd have probably changed the grounds the way they've turned to today. So thank you very much, Senator. But it worked out for the best, so thank you very much again. So, let's put it out in such a way that what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put them in the spotlight immediately and not give them heads up. Sandra, I have 3 questions for you. You got 1 minute. 1 minute. Who's holding the timer? You got 1 minute. I got 5 minutes. I got 5 minutes to speak. I had to come with 20 people to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to be asking you 3 questions, 1 minute per question, and I want to hear your answer. And be honest, though. It's just politics. So. So, I'm going to stand out here.
He's leaving all the way over there.
No. So the first question that I have to Sandra is, what are your 3 most important top areas that you're going to address in your next term, should you be elected?
Thank you. Well, the first one, of course, is working with my community, with all the residents here, not just here in this room, but everyone that lives in Ward 4. To make sure that we work with you and listen to you and address the issues that you do have that you bring forward to us. So that would be my very first thing to do. Secondly, of course, is that I want to make sure that the subway that we've been building, that I brought forward back in 2006 when we got the funding, that we will complete that, and that should be completed by 2016. So we're looking forward to that because that actually got kicked off the entire development of our downtown of the city of Vaughan. And thirdly, of course, is pushing forward to make sure that our hospitals get built. We're already moving forward as quickly as possible, and we're hoping to see that groundbreaking that's going to take place in the fall of 2015. Did I make it 1 minute?
You made it in 45 seconds. Everybody got that? Good. So the next question coming up is, what is your position about the Jafari development, and what do you believe is a good resolution to that situation?
Well, I believe that right now, the very first that we did by bringing forward that motion that we tabled at the last council meeting is the very first step of it. And you're absolutely right, it is not we're not finished, we're far from being finished, we're just at the beginning of this. What we need to see is make sure that this application conforms to what we want to see, which is one, the official plan. Secondly, is what we have decided as a working group, you and I and everybody, we have worked very diligently to talk about the density, the height, and parking issues, all those issues. We need to make sure those are addressed before we move forward any further. So we've got to make sure that they conform to that. And we're holding them very tightly to the timeline of November 15. Should they not meet at all for whatever reason, that they don't meet our timeline, nor meet what our guidelines are for them, we will ask our staff to come back with a full technical report, which will then go towards to.
Thoughts are way off, but I agree that I think that. Okay, so just finish now.
Well, let me just finish off by saying that I will work with the community as I always have been, because I believe that we as an elected official and me as a person who has been living in this community, we want the best of the best for our community.
Thank you for that. Everybody evidently, she owes me 30 seconds next time I speak in front of the city. Okay. What is on your agenda, or how are you going to promote or to help the residents of Thornhill Woods? What's next on your list in Thornhill Woods?
I think that the biggest thing right now is to make sure that everyone understands the position where we're in. What is it that we need to do in order to achieve our final goal? And I think that, well, there are many people here, and as you pointed out, there are a number of people that are first time here in this meeting. So we really need to get that information out there to people. And what I will do is I'm going to take it upon myself to communicate much more widely with our community to make sure that everyone understands our position and understand where we're moving and how we're going to move forward with this application.
Thank you very much. Any specific items that you believe we should be getting in
Sure, I didn't want to
Thornhill
go over time, but if you allow me to, I will.
Woods?
Okay. First of all, height is number one, because our official plan does not allow for high density. So definitely the height is a big issue that we're going to deal with. Density is the other thing that we did. And we cannot allow just the density to move from one side to the other side and just say that, well, it's moved, it's come down, we need to make sure that that density is done properly. And as you said earlier, the townhomes has to be a variety of sizes. It can't be just one size and just so it has, again, let's put it again, has to be reflective of the community of what we have here. Of course, traffic and parking are huge issues, and we got to make sure those things are addressed as well.
Thank you very much. Good luck on your race, I guess.
Thank you.
And we'll see you after October 27th.
I hope so. Thank you very much.
Can we ask a question?
We will just finish. There's three more candidates that we'd like to speak to, and then right after that, we're going to open the floor for your questions. Mr. Stiles Weinberg, I would like to welcome you to the podium here.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much, Ron, and to the other members of the committee of the Preserve Thornhill Woods. Before I start,
We didn't start our meeting yet. Sorry? We didn't start our meeting yet.
just want to say thank you for a brilliant job that you have putting everything together. And I am your candidate in Ward 4, as your local resident of Ward 4. And I thank you very much for this opportunity to meet with you personally. I too have been knocking at some doors, and I've got some tremendous response. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Weinberg, you've heard my questions before, so it's gonna spoil it, but I'm going to twist them a little bit. So, I've seen the three items on your agenda, the major items on your agenda. In 1 minute, I want you to talk about item number 2 and item number 3 of your agenda. I do not want you to speak about the height. I would like you to speak about item number 2 and item number 3. For 1 minute, please. Go ahead.
Well, item number 2 refers to the hospital. Is that what we're talking about, Ron? The hospital?
Sorry.
Item number 2 is my hospital.
And traffic and so on.
Okay, I have been an active member of the hospital committee in raising money. In the past 4 years, I've raised $65,000 through events that I've taken. I have been very active and involved with the Mackenzie Hospital, both sides. Prior to that, I've been very active in the new Mackenzie Richmond Hill Hospital in raising money for the new MRI machines. Groundbreaking has begun. We will see a hospital, God willing, in 2019. I don't want to sit here and go through all the details, but the hospital has gone through some tremendous changes. All the delays that we have seen in the past, under the direction of Altaf Station Wallop, along with Ingrid Perry, have been very, very successful. Things are moving, we are raising money, and we are certainly achieving some great things happening here.
My second question to you is, what is your opinion about the application? And if you will be elected, what are you going to be doing to make sure that our rights will be remaining the way they are and what we achieved so far will remain the same?
Good question. The application as it stands right now, I think it's very, very difficult to stand here and say we have won a major battle. In fact, the OMB, the Ontario Municipal Board, is a wall, a barrier that I believe personally we are going to have to face. And I have seen the applicant's approach, the applicant's desire to be a willing playing partner. It hasn't happened. We have seen that during the motions that are going on, all of the different kinds of gamery, whether it's 2 towers or 1 tower or 3 towers connected by 1, all these different things have not been successful. I do not believe or have confidence in the Jabari system, the Jabari community that's coming up and trying to be part of the Canadian Vaughan way of life, and I think it's very important that they have to understand. What's more important is we have to come together and prepare ourselves for the inevitable meeting of the OMB, who's, by the way, we should challenge what their power is all about, having it a more local decision. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. So the last question I have for you is, Ward 4 doesn't only include Thornhill, it includes other wards, it includes other neighborhoods, it includes other areas outside of this block here. But since we are all here from Thornhill Woods and we are the favorite neighborhood, what do you believe we as the residents are going to see should you be elected? What is your operations, or what are you going to put down forward outside of the hospital that you mentioned before? What do you believe we should get?
We have to address the infrastructure, traffic. We have to address transit. We have to address taxes. We have gone way over budget on our taxes. Our transit is really, really dismal as far as having a proper response to our GO trains, our regular community schedule, as well as our traffic flow has got a lot to be considered. We are stuck in traffic day in and day out, causing more and more time on our roads instead of our families. So going into council, we have to take a responsible view. In the last 10 years, we've been faced with jams, we have been faced with traffic circles, we have been faced with major calamities and problems on the road. We certainly have to boost up our public transit, make it a comfortable way, perhaps negotiate a seamless fare, something that's going to be allowing people to save money, a higher schedule, and that is something I'm going to be working very, very hard on as a team, and not as an individual person. Thank you.
I think that we're done questioning you.
Thank you, and thank you, and I thank all the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. These are the people that you will be impacted from directly. Since we're running a little bit short of time, I would like to open the floor right now to questions from the audience. If you'd like to ask the members questions that got to do with this application, if you have a question directly to the politicians or the candidates, if you don't mind, please leave them to afterwards. Not because I don't want to let you talk and answer it to everybody, because I want people that have questions about the application to come up first and ask these questions. If we're not going to have any more questions, then I'm going to open the ground to questions to the politicians. So any questions about the applications, please come to the middle aisle, and I will be handing over the microphone.
Stopping the city from building outlet lots through to Blackness right now.
So the question was, what is stopping from the city? The question was, what is stopping from the city to build or extend Apple Blossom right now to Bathurst? I will. Okay. Deb, would you like to answer that question? Okay. Sandra?
The apple blossom is currently under study as a matter of fact. staff was just looking at it and trying to figure out whether it is actually necessary and how we're going to do. Unfortunately, there's a mosque already, as you know, already built there. So we need to have to find a way to get around it. And we also have to find out whether the region is going to allow another exit out into the regional roads. So those are the technical things that we need to do. And until we get those answers, we would be able to move forward with that. Quick answer.
Just out of curiosity, with the raise of hand, how many of you believe it should go through the Bathurst? There you go. I think you got your answer. It should go through. I think you got your answer. Okay. Next question, please.
I have a question for Sandra. I'm a bit concerned that the previous position that you've taken was one of really of a neutral position where you really didn't want to put your weight behind either the applicant or the residents of the Woods. What assurances are you to give us that when the future application comes forward, that your weight will be behind the residents of Golden Woods?
Thank you for the question. I wasn't actually either way, but I had to stay neutral. And as you know, we're under the Planning Act, and we have to stay neutral, especially before we have a full technical report that comes forward. Because if we were to do any other way, the applicant could have gone over the OMB with very little, and they could have had a position to fight it. I have always been behind the community, always. I just don't verbalize it to you because I have to keep, as I say, I have to make sure the city does not get into a legal issue, nor the residents. And that's why I kept myself pretty quiet behind. But I have always been behind the community, and I know what is allowed and not allowed. And the best guideline for us is the non-official plan. Our non-official plan does not at all reflect what the applicant is asking for. We have given them time through our working session. We gave them that time to come back with something better. Even after we worked to it, it wasn't something that was acceptable, and that was the reason why I put that final motion in for council.
So very quickly, the question is really relevant because to many people they're probably sitting here saying, why are we having to spend our own personal money fighting this application when the city should just come out and say no? The reason is because the city is not the master of its own destiny. We are under the jurisdiction of the province, and the province has put a body, the OMB, which is now supposed to be arm's length, looking at what we're doing and being an independent body that decides whether the city's being reasonable or whether developers are being reasonable. It's a body where the developers can appeal. That's the problem. If we were able to just come out and say no, and it would hold, then it would be easy for councillors to come out and say, whatever it is they feel, that it's no, or yes, whatever it is. But the point is, we have to be very careful how we do this, because we know that anybody that's bringing an application forward can go to this appeal board, the OMB, and unfortunately, we have had not the success that we would like there lately. We had hoped that there was going to be some review of the OMB and that they would listen to the city's wishes more than they had in the past. They told us they had done some overhaul and that they would be more accounting of the official plans that are done. It turns out that that is not what has happened. We have had several issues where we have supported the community and the OMB has gone against us. So I'm just letting you know that that's why we haven't necessarily all come shooting out of the gate and just said, we're going to say no, because that would force them directly to the OMB, and we would not necessarily win. So it's not necessarily a straightforward path where the city is the master of its own destiny. So that's why we need your support as well, because the community has to stand up as well, not just the councillors.
In addition to my 5 minutes.
Sorry.
Next question, please.
So it looks like
Speak closer to the microphone.
Maybe my question was partially answered. I want to ask about the OMB. So is it maybe the strategy of them to go to the OMB directly, and then basically strategy is to try to stall it and maybe be reasonable to get a better chance that it goes to OMB?
So I'm just going to repeat the question. Is the applicant's, I guess, way of doing things is going to OMB, and if the city, as part of their, I guess, plan to win their application or to get their application accepted. So the answer was yes. Many developers choose to go directly to OMB and overpass the city because they don't want to wait for the city to make their decisions and go through all of their planning act and going through making a report and technical studies and so on, and in 2 years from today you're going to get your approval. They said, okay, we want it within 180 days, we can get it within 180 days, we go to OMB, see you later, see you. The applicant has the money to go in to the OMB. They have pockets much deeper than ours. They have millions of dollars that they put into that efforts, and they've spent already hundreds of thousands to put this application forward, developers, studies, and so on. They have the money. I hope that they think that by having that money, they can use it to build the buildings versus using it on OMB. I hope they believe that their community and the people from within are the ones that want to live beside their mosque and have their houses and schools beside their mosque. They don't need to pay that money, nor do we, the residents of Thornhill Woods, don't need to pay the money to defend our own laws and our own rights. So, going to the applicant and saying, just come back to something normal. Let's basically have your houses in front of your mosque. That's all it is. Next question, please.
Hello. Mine is not really a question, just asking information. I was hoping to see in one of those lists, because I have come first time to such meetings. Or maybe this information might be on your website, but it would have been more convenient if we would know what's the address and the post box number where we send our check. If you want to
It's a good question. So I want to save you the hassle. Before you leave out of here, take your credit card out, walk to the back. There's about 7 people that have the credit card swipers. We can save you even the stamp cost.
I will mail you a check, don't worry. The second part of the question is this information also on your website? Whom to contact if you want to volunteer your time?
Absolutely. So both on our website, which is pretty simple, PTWA.ca or preservethornhillwoods.com, whichever one you want to go to. I like the PTWA.ca better, it's easier to remember. Or if you go to our Facebook page, which is the same thing, also PTWA or Preserve Thornhill Woods Association, you can find our Facebook page, get updates twice or 3 times a week, even 4 times when we have events. We constantly update the residents about what's going on. Join our mailing list. Join our mailing list. If you go to our website, the first thing that you're going to see there is click here to join our mailing list. We send one email a week unless there is anything urgent. And we do call volunteers through emails and through our Facebook page frequently. So when we need volunteer, we do put out that request. So by going to our Facebook page, joining our mailing list, going to our website, somebody that follows us on Tweeters, so we do have also messages that are going on Tweeters. So there's many ways to get hold of us. Next question, please.
Testing. Actually behind where the mosque and the school is built, there's a Waldorf school, And there's also a senior's home that has been built in behind that. I don't know if you're aware of it. But is that land owned separately by Waldorf or the people that bought it? It's nothing to do with the land that we're talking about now. And also, are you aware where they say they will allow, or we want to allow, people to use their parking lot? There is a big sign from the entrance from the Waldorf School. This is not a Waldorf School parking lot, and it's blocked off.
Okay, so there were two questions there, so I'm going to answer the first one. The first one is the lands that are north of the applicant, so there's a little river that crosses through there. They belong partially to the Waldorf, and recently there was an acquisition by Senator Holmes. I don't know if that's got finalized, but I know that Senator Holmes bought, I guess, a piece of land from the Waldorf School, in between the Waldorf School to the Hesperus old age home, and a little bit to the northeast of it as well. So it's privately owned by those entities, and it does not belong to the Jafari community. For your second question, the parking lot that you're referring to was an agreement between the applicant and Waldorf as, I guess, as a temporary parking issue to the Jafari community to use while they're using the facility of the mosque. While they have overflow parking, they will go and park it at the Waldorf parking lot. It's the one that adjacent to Bathurst Street. The reason why it was blocked off is because Senator Holm built their sales office.
Right across from the school, where the back of the mosque is, there's a parking lot that the mosque built, and it's just beside the school. That's where I'm talking.
This is beyond this. The moment you start going down the hill, it's a private land. That's not allowed to park. Nobody's allowed to park in there. It's a private property. The only property that they were allowed to park was that one that's immediately contacting with Bathurst. Next question, please.
This is a financial matter. The statement showed that the organization has raised approximately $65,000, and someone, I think it might have been you, stated there are 4,800 homes in Thornhill Woods. Is that correct?
4850.
Okay, give and take. I would like to know how many homes, quote, have contributed to that $65,000.
It's a good question. The average donation is around $86. It comes in between $5 to, we even have $10,000 and $15,000 donations. So there are big donors, there are small donors, but the average was about $84. So how many homes? We didn't do the breakdown whether they're from Thornhill Woods or they're from outside of Thornhill Woods, but I can tell you that the numbers are still minimal in comparison to what we were expecting to receive. We believe that if everybody in Thornhill Woods will donate between $150 to $200, we're going to have the amount of money that we need for the first round in OMB, which is about $250,000. Next question, please.
So I know this application is for Thornhill Woods, but there are those of us who live in the valleys that is going to be affected by Jafari as well. So even though this is the Thornhill Woods, I'm sure there are other valleys residents here as well tonight. So keep that in mind. It's not all about Thornhill Woods, valleys as well. My sort of question is just a statement. I'm not sure if you're aware, but in Waterloo they did about 7 years and millions of dollars worth of studies to present to the OMB to go against the developer. And the OMB disregarded all of those 7 years worth of studies, technical studies, all those types of reports that we're going to spend all this money to create. They completely disregarded it and did their own thing. And the city was just completely disappointed. So just keep this in mind. The idea of reform to the OMB, it's huge. We need that. We need the OMB to start maybe more from the municipal part, like an OMB for this area, OMB for that area. I don't know how that would work. I don't know who needs to take care of that. But the OMB doesn't care about this area. They want to look at financials, they want to look at other things. We need an OMB to be representative of the community.
So, first of all, just for you to know, one of our board members, one of our executives in the board member actually live in your neighborhood. Our secretary, Oz, can you raise your hand? He lives in the valleys. So we do have representation from your neighborhood within our board as well. He's not a voting member because it's not allowed by law, but he does have his input and he represents your neighborhood as well within our efforts. So you're not forgotten. In addition to that, we also have Richmond. Sorry. So we also have Richmond Hill representation in our board. Again, she's not a voting member, but she's addressing the issues that got to do with Richmond Hill within our board as well. The billboard that we put out there, that was, by the way, donated by one of the businesses in the area, the billboard was specifically to address everybody that drives down on Bathurst every single morning and sitting in traffic until they get onto the 407 or Center Street or all the way down to Steeles. Putting down those big buildings and this huge development will increase that traffic. And we, until 2017, when they're planning on expanding Bathurst, there will be no resolution to that volume of traffic. So we do address, you guys are just north of us, and we do address your issues by relieving it down the road in our neighborhood. So that's why we got Councillor Deb Schultz here working with us on the regional traffic lines and any traffic or public transportation that's going to come in the future, we're going to have our say into that as well. Now, there was another question there that I wanted to let you know. Any referendum in the OMB is a provincial matter. It's appointed by the province, and our member of parliament, provincial member of parliament, Gila Martaw, would be your address to address those issues and request or ask for any referendum with the OMB process. And I spoke to her recently about that issue, and things are starting to move motion. You guys, if you're going to contact the provincial member of parliament and let her know what you believe about the OMB, maybe it's going to help her to push it forward even faster. Next question, please.
Okay, I have a comment and then a question. Gila Marto is the MP for Thornhill, and Stephen Del Duca is the MP for Vaughan. So Valleys of Thornhill have to contact Stephen Del Duca, who's in the cabinet. He's the Minister of Transportation. The OMB is governed by the Ontario government, just like the municipality is. The municipality exists because of the municipality and the Municipal Act. So the thing is the City of Toronto in 2006 had a bill that was passed by the province to become exempt from certain zoning and bylaw legislations. It would have affected...
Sorry to stop you. Get to your question.
My question is, I'd like to know of the people that are the incumbents and the people that are the candidates for council, who will support the residents, particularly in Thornhillwood and in the City of Vaughan, to lobby the province to reform the OMB. That is, okay, I want to know because that's our hope, and we can get Vaughan to the province to pass the City of Vaughan Act. And I want to congratulate you guys for doing a terrific job tonight.
Maxine, thank you for that question. I saw every single candidate and councillor raising their hands to reform that. They did start a motion. Sorry, go ahead. Say that out loud because...
Just so you know, a motion was sent back to the province already. We had started that process.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. And I want to thank Reserve for the fine job they've done. They do need money. Believe me, I'm a realtor. It's a lot cheaper to give them a donation than it is to put up your house for sale. Thank you. We don't want to do that.
Any further questions at this point?
Not really a question. I just wanted to one of the things we should remember about the OMB is there's no appeal from their decision. That's very important. That's the last step. So whatever they decide, and we have had, as the councillors and regional councillors have indicated, the OMB has not been kind to Vaughan. If you recall the way awards that were changed in the last election, they did all sorts of things that nobody asked them to even look at, and they made a lot of changes. So they're a world unto themselves.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burke. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Okay. Mr. DiBiase corrected me here. There is a way of appealing that decision, but it's not an easy, straightforward like you would appeal a court decision. It's more of a cabinet decision, and it's not like the regular court appeal. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude our evening, I want to thank everybody for coming over. I know it's late at night. We would appreciate walking out of here if you see any one of our representatives in the back and give us any dollar count. We would accept anything. We really need. Oh, sorry. There's one more question, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's a question for Sandra. We just heard you commenting on not being able to support us more publicly because you didn't have technical support, technical report. I was wondering, we heard there is still no technical report. How come you were able to come forward on September 2nd and support the motion?
Because I gave enough time, mine was as a working group we work for, we were given, council gave 5 months, we actually stretched it out to, I think it was 6 months before we finally came back. And at the time, we had another session for the residents to come forward to give their comments. And it was felt that at the time that even with the changes that the applicant did try to make, it wasn't enough for the residents, and that was the reason why I put forward that motion. And of course, that motion, in fact, the first motion I put forward on September 2nd, it had to be revised slightly because of legality, to make sure that the city is not in any legal position or get in trouble. So that's the reason why. So everything we do has to be done properly. We don't want to put the city in jeopardy. We certainly don't want to put the residents in jeopardy. That's why. Thank you.
So any further questions at this point? Ladies and gentlemen, this is our neighborhood. Thank you very much for coming and supporting us. The councillors and the candidates will remain in this room, so anyone who has questions directly, please come forward and talk to them, engage in a personal conversation. Thank you very much again, good night, and we would appreciate any donations that you can leave outside. Thank you.